In Morgantown, West Virginia, the Mountaineer Man Trip is what they call the fan walk that the West Virginia football team takes, which ends right here, touching this piece of coal to pay tribute to coal miners and to the lifeblood of this industry. Now, this was a tradition that Dana Holgerson started back in 2011, but it's the latest addition to this tradition that everyone is talking about, where the West Virginia football team pauses after they touch this rock. They go up to a landing, and they look up at the WVU Medicine Children's Hospital and wave in what is the latest addition to a 40-year relationship between the football team and the Children's Hospital. Coach, you started this tradition this year. What does it mean to you to be able to bring some sunshine to those kids on game day and to do this?
Well, it's an extension of what we try to do throughout the course of the week, throughout the course of the year. A lot of our players go over to this hospital all the time. It means as much to them as it does to the kids. But you're right. I mean, just to be able to let the kids know that we're thinking about them as much as we possibly can.
Well, Coach, I appreciate it. Good luck today. This is an incredibly special moment.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
A new gesture and a new add-on to a time-honored tradition. Number 9, West Virginia, ready for Kansas. Here in Morgantown, the Mountaineers won the toss. They will receive Liam Jones to kick it off for Kansas. Marcus Sims back deep for the Mountaineers. ESPN College Football is presented by ExxonMobil. You heard from Roddy Jones and Ish Shroff alongside Ahmad Brooks upstairs. This West Virginia team has its highest ranking since 2012. Undefeated going into October, but they feel they haven't played close to their best football.
No, they haven't. And I think the thing that stood out the most to me was that these guys were upset about the outcome of last week. And they came away from Lubbock with a win. I think what he speaks directly to is the chemistry and the veteran leadership they have on this team, not to settle for second best. They want to be the best team in the conference, and today is another step towards that.
Off a low snap, Will Greer finds David Sills for a gain of 6. And for this West Virginia offense, it starts with the quarterback, the Heisman hopeful, Will Greer. He's completing more than 70% of his passes this year, 17 TDs, only 3 interceptions. Another low snap. Greer has trouble with it. The ball is on the ground and covered up by West Virginia. So that's twice now we have seen poor snaps on the center to quarterback exchange.
They've got to clean that up because Kansas, this is one of the best teams. It is the best team when it comes to turnover margin in the country. And those are the types of plays that when you're trying to get off to an early and fast start, really prevent you from doing that.
Matt Jones, the center, and if this West Virginia offense has any weaknesses, it's on the interior of that offensive line. On 3rd and long, Greer flushed out and taken down from behind by Azur Kamara, and the Mountaineers go 3 and out.
Wow, man, for Kansas, that's the start you want. You're taking on one of the top offenses in the country, a Heisman candidate. And they did it today. It was just effort. As the pocket started to collapse for Will Greer, you'll see it here. It was a 4-man rush. And they just hustled and make a play on the backside. Excellent start for the Jayhawks.
Greer shaking his head as Billy Kinney will punt. Kwame Lassiter lets this one bounce. It takes a West Virginia bounce and rolls out of bounds at the 35, a 41-yard punt. It's been a quarterback carousel for Kansas this season. Peyton Bender started the first 4 games. Miles Kendrick played in each of the first 4 games but got hurt against Baylor. And then Carter Stanley started last week, put up good numbers in a loss to Oklahoma State. Stanley was number 3 on the depth chart to begin the season, but his head coach David Beatty told us this is an opportunity for a young man to solidify the quarterback position and run with the chance. And Stanley off play action. Lofts one downfield, incomplete, intended for Stephon Robinson, who was covered well.
A gutsy call there from offensive coordinator Doug Meacham. We said last year we just ran it down West Virginia's throat and they couldn't stop it. In a very similar formation, they run a lot of power football. So why not open the ball game with a play action, taking a shot downfield?
Little pop pass. This is Steven Sims, ambushed in the backfield. And taken down for a loss of 4. And now it's 3rd and long, and this West Virginia defense under coordinator Tony Gibson can unleash its pressure. Mountaineers came into the game among the nation's best in tackles for loss. Stanley will hand it off. Puka Williams, the electric freshman, is upended at the 45-yard line. Going to be a little short of the marker, but you get a chance to see the explosiveness of the true freshman from Louisiana. Offense is out on the field, Ahmad.
I like this call. If you're David Beatty, what do you have to lose? Your defense just goes 3 and out. You got great field position. And you've got Puka Williams in the backfield. He's one of the young, bright stars of the Big 12. And you've also got a quarterback in Carter Stanley that can run it. I'd put the pressure on him here with some type of zone read.
They'll give it to Puka. The ball pops out. Stanley covers it up. And that backfired on Kansas.
It was the right play call. You want to put the pressure on him. Carter Stanley can run. But the exchange there, he kept it too long in the mesh point. And Kansas, after having a great start defensively, stubbed their toe.
With a gain of 3. Ahmad, you and I were talking in the break. You really liked that call, even at this early juncture in the game, to go for it on 4th down?
You don't get many chances against the Mountaineers with their offense as explosive as they are, and with a defense that's the top in the Big 12 when it comes to points per game. So I think that was the right call to make, and Carter Stanley just has to do a better job of executing there.
On 2nd down, Greer, plenty of time. Wide open, David Sills. Sills inside the 10 and bullies his way down to the 6-yard line. A 26-yard pickup, Greer to Sills.
Yeah, this is one of my key matchups and deciding factors when I look at it. West Virginia is excellent. They don't make a lot of mistakes because they have veteran players. But when you look at Kansas on film, a lot of mental breakdowns on the back end. Last week, guys running wide open over the top of coverage. You saw there. How do you let the best wide receiver on the field get open? They've got to do a better job of shoring that up by executing the game plan.
Sills in the slot. On the ground, nothing doing for McCoy, who ran for 100 yards against Kansas last year.
And this red zone offense is on fire. They're perfect on the year. #1 in the nation, 12 touchdowns on 15 attempts. And Greer looks for one-on-one matchups with Sills and Jennings. Those are his 2 favorite targets, and they're both on the outside edge.
Sills up top, Jennings to the bottom of your screen. And we get a flag.
False start, number 65. Offense, 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
That is Isaiah Hardy getting the start at right guard today. This West Virginia team last week penalized quite a bit against Texas Tech. They had a big lead in that game. The Red Raiders nearly came back. West Virginia held on. And Dana Holgorsen told us it was a mad Mountaineer team getting ready for Kansas. Greer gets rid of it quickly. He's got the freshman Lenny Brown, who angles into the end zone. Touchdown, West Virginia.
Will Greer here makes this play, the timing. He had pressure on him, but he knew, I've got to get this ball out of my hand quickly. Threw it about a yard outside in front of the numbers. perfect opportunity for his young freshman running back.
Is under further review.
The last play is under review. Always tricky when you get near that pylon on the sideline. Letty Brown scored the touchdown, the freshman from Philadelphia. They think he's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I think this stands.
Looking to stay if he stayed inbounds. And remember, if any part of that body touches in the end zone before the ball crosses, then the goal line extends all the way to infinity. Otherwise, the ball has to cross first within the pylon. But based on those angles, this should stand.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
Sudden change, Ahmad. Kansas with the risky decision to go for it on 4th down in their own territory. They fail to convert. They lose yardage. West Virginia comes right back and punches it in.
And this is one of the most talented offenses in the country. And you know, we were talking about Sills and Jennings and last week, and then you come out and then Sims shows out, and then now you get your freshman getting involved in the action to score the first touchdown. They are loaded all across the field. And this 4th down stop was key for the West Virginia Mountaineers. It gave the ball back to this explosive offense. And when you put Will Greer in the red zone, expect for the Mountaineers to get in the end zone.
7-0 West Virginia on top of Kansas. The Mountaineers looking to stay perfect on the season. Kansas, after opening with a loss against FCS Nichols, bounced back with wins at Central Michigan and against Rutgers, but they've lost 2 in a row in Big 12 play. And a chance here for Puka Williams. Williams takes it across the 40. David Beatty, the Kansas head coach, told us that Puka Williams means everything to this offense. And number 1 in white also has the full attention of this West Virginia defense. Tony Gibson, the Mountaineers defensive coordinator, talked up Puka like he's the best running back in the Big 12. And they said this will be the best running back West Virginia sees this season. Williams getting a breather on the sideline after the kick return. And the give is to Khalil Herbert. Herbert last year against West Virginia, 36 carries, 291 yards. The 3rd highest single game rushing total in school history.
Yeah, and that's one of the keys for me for this West Virginia defense is to make sure that they can keep the Kansas Jayhawks one-dimensional. They've got to be able to stuff the run like they did there, limit them on 1st and 2nd down, where you can then get into your blitz package.
Williams in the game on 2nd down. Stanley throws underneath. Kurt Johnson takes it close to midfield, and it's 3rd down now for Kansas.
And the key here, guys, is this is 3rd and manageable for this Kansas offense. I like the way they used Puka Williams as a decoy on that one. Last time, they ran a draw on 3rd down and got big yardage from Puka Williams. I would anticipate this West Virginia defense sitting back and making Carter Stanley pick them apart.
The fake is to Williams, and Stanley dropped by David Long, who had 15 tackles and 3 in the backfield a week ago.
Yeah, Long he may be the most athletic defender in the country. I know he's one of the most in the Big 12 and exceptional. I know his size. You look at him and you saw it at 5'11", 221. Maybe he's not as big as you'd like for him to be, but his athleticism, I believe at the next level, he projects either at the safety position because he's that fast and athletic, or you can play him as a blitzing linebacker. But I do believe that young man has a future in the NFL.
On that last play, I believe Kansas only had 10 men on the field. Kyle Thompson able to get this one away. Good punt. And over the head of Sills into the end zone. A 56-yard punt. West Virginia back on offense.
Let's go Mountaineers!
The transformation of West Virginia's senior Trevor Keese from your regular accounting major into the Mountaineer. One of the best mascots in all of college football. He's allowed to speak.
It's cool. And earlier we were trying to think of how many mascots in the country that can actually speak. Hit Anish up on Twitter and let him know.
See, he's talking to Roddy Jones right there on the field.
He's excited, man, and it's hot down here, so I don't envy him and his outfit.
Indeed.
Another low snap. Greer. Incomplete, intended for Trevon Wesco. While West Virginia speaks in the imperative, especially early on, they have outscored opponents 59-7
Yikes.
in the first quarter of games this season, and they have yet to trail.
This is not the kind of offense that you want to get on top of you and put their foot on your throat. And we saw last week they sputtered second quarter into the third, but when they're scoring at the rate that they're hard to keep up with.
Good snap this time by Jones. Greer. Incomplete, a little behind Marcus Sims. Sims has become a breakout star. A star is born, if you will. 3 straight 100-yard games, set a career high in catches and receiving yards last week.
Yeah, I thought that ball was thrown in the right location. He just lost his footing. Now you've got a 3rd and long. And where has Kansas been susceptible this year? Right along the middle of the field or on the outside edge, either with the seams or an out route.
Against a 4-man rush, Greer over the middle, wide open TJ Simmons, and the Alabama transfer picks up a first down.
And that's it. When I refer to seams, you run them down the hash, and that ball was caught right on the hash. And now West Virginia's starting to try to get the Jayhawks back on their heel. They're going to go up-tempo here and press the gas.
2 receivers stacked to each side. On the ground, Letty Brown right up the middle. Huge hole. Brown caught from behind by Hassan Defense after a gain of 47.
Well, guys, in watching Kansas this week, we thought West Virginia was going to have a chance to have a lot of success. This is just a split line play where they block everybody down, pull the backside guard and tackle. And once Letty Brown hit that seam, it was almost lights out.
Back to Brown, another big hole. And Brown bulldozes inside the 5. Touchdown saving tackle by Bryce Tornadin. But it's been a formality for West Virginia once they get in the red zone. They have scored on every red zone possession this season.
Yeah, they're perfect and they're the best at it. And the thing that is scary right now to me, because one of the weaknesses on offense, if you have one, they're 47th coming into this game rushing the football, but the pace that they're going right now, if they can get that element going, boy, they're scary.
There's Brown trying to finish the drive. Stopped at the 1-yard line by Tornadin.
And going back to those last 2 plays, guys, what did the Kansas defensive coaches say? If West Virginia finds something that works, they're going to go back at it. That was the same play back-to-back before Letty Brown almost got in just a second ago.
Back to Brown. Reaching, and he'll be stopped a little short. Now they signal touchdown. A late signal, and Letty Brown with his 2nd score of the game. 13-0 West Virginia.
Let me tell you how West Virginia puts you in a pickle in the red zone. When you've got Jennings and Sills like they did to one side, Now you've got to move a safety out there to make sure that they don't beat you, because that's where Greer likes to go. What it does, though, it thins out the box, and now you're able to run the football right down your throat. And this offensive line, they feel really comfortable with their left tackle, their left guard, their right tackle, and now their center, Matt Jones. They're still working to find the right combination at right guard. But this team is powerful in the red zone because of those reasons. So many different weapons that you have to defend and think about. It just makes you think rather than play.
The ruling on the field is a touchdown for West Virginia. The previous play is under further review.
I had a feeling they might challenge here, or they might look at it, and they will review. Ahmad, to your point, it's not just the running backs, it's not just the receivers. You factor in, you got two really good tackles, and what Clint Bowen, Kansas's defensive coordinator, told us, you have a quarterback who's a pro, and he said in college, if guys are covered, as you see if Brown is able to cross the goal line. Bowen told us in college, if you're covered, usually the quarterback will go down to his next option or tuck it and run. He goes, not with West Virginia and Will Greer, not with the West Virginia receivers. They're able to fit the ball in tight windows.
A prime example of that last week is they're down in the red zone.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
A prime example of that is they're down in the red zone last week, and Jennings runs a slant. Literally, the defensive back, it was pass interference, and he was tightly contested, and Will Greer, with confidence and moxie, zipped it right in there. And, you know, as you move on, and from the college level, what I learned from my experience in the NFL is he's right. Yeah, you can cover a guy up in college, and they won't throw your way. At the pro level, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, they're going to find a way to squeeze it in the window, and Will Greer is already doing that now in college.
Video review holds up the touchdown. Lenny Brown has scored twice. The first multi-touchdown game of his young career. A couple of touchdowns, 14-0. And number 9, West Virginia on top of Kansas. The Jayhawks will receive. Steven Sims and Puka Williams back deep. Staley to kick it off. And Sims will stay put. Tonight on ABC, it's a top 25 matchup between Notre Dame, undefeated Irish, visiting Virginia Tech in Lane Stadium. Ian Book, 5-0. And Virginia Tech will unveil a Frank Beamer statue. And look at what Frank Beamer did in his first 6 seasons, 24-40 with 1 tie. In today's climate, he does not see season 7. And with the challenge that David Beatty has at Kansas, I think you have to look at comparable programs. It takes time. It took time for David Cutcliffe at Duke, for Greg Schiano at Rutgers, Al Golden at Temple. They were kicked out of the Big East, had to go into the MAC, and that helped them maybe accelerate their rebuild a little bit. But for Beatty, you get the sense time is running out. They've got a new athletic director in Jeff Long. There was news yesterday that they don't really plan to redshirt anybody because the mandate is to win now. And again, Beatty's in his 4th season. Charlie Weiss and Turner Gill before him never got to season 4. On 2nd down after a short run. Stanley to throw, and that's batted down. No whistle. This could be West Virginia ball. It is. It was intercepted by the Mountaineers.
Guys, that was an absolutely incredible reaction by Ezekiel Rose. The ball went straight to him, but just the reaction time by a big defensive lineman to get his hands up and catch it. And I actually saw him pregame catching kickoffs. The guy's got hands like a receiver.
And that batted down pass, your leader, your best player defensively, the redshirt junior, David Long, coming in and making a play. And Ezekiel Rose with the interception, and now this West Virginia Mountaineer offense back out on the field to burn some rubber.
First interception thrown by a Kansas quarterback, and there's the turnover prop, the coal miner's helmet. Greer, plenty of time, looking for Sills, And nearly intercepted, broken up by Hassan Defense, who made his first career start at safety against Baylor a couple of weeks ago. Had to move over with the injury to Ricky Thomas, and Kansas thin back there right now. Thomas is out. Mike Lee, one of the starting safeties, also out today.
I like the shot, though. When you get a turnover, and they call it sudden change, it's a great opportunity to go downfield and test the defense.
Sills in motion. Greer moves the pocket. He'll run. Plenty of green space. And Will Greer slides down for a first down at the 15.
Is this kid in the NFL already or what? Even the slide was perfect. The decision was great. I talked earlier on SportsCenter about his intelligence and his instincts. This is where he separates himself. This is a great decision. And if you're Kansas, you're watching film, you don't see this. He just knew that there was open field, and he took it.
Two tight ends out of the pistol. Greer will throw. And he's sacked. Brought down by Brian Lipscomb, the senior from Hampton, Virginia.
That's a coverage sack. You look downfield, there was no one that had separation. And that's that's definitely a good sign for Kansas that has struggled in man-to-man coverage. You watch it here, you watch it here. Just a great job of covering up Sills up top. That's his main target.
Second down, back at the 20. And we get a penalty marker.
Delay a game, number 88. Defense, simulating the snap count to try to get the offense to false start. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
That is the 6'3", 330-pound senior J.J. Holmes. Junior college transfer in his second season with the Jayhawks. And that negates the sack. On the ground, Petaway. Brought down by Keith Loneker after a short gain. Third down. All right, Ahmad, what's the call here? Third down, you got Sills, you've got Jennings. You're in the red zone.
Yeah, with an offense like this, I don't know if it's a call. I think you go to your top playmakers, and they've got them all over the field. Sills has obviously excelled down here. It looks like on the back end in coverage, they have not rolled coverage over the top if you're watching at home. And that may be the area where Will Greer wants to attack.
Greer looking for Sills. Intercepted. Hassan Defense with the pick for Kansas. And that's the first time this year West Virginia has been in the red zone and not come away with points. Meanwhile, for Kansas, that is the 15th takeaway this season, most in the FBS.
Well, he went to the side that I exactly said it was. It was matchup over here. And then you see Sills here. They have such good chemistry that sometimes the problem with that is you think you know somebody so well, right? That they do something quickly in route and it changes. It didn't look like they were on the same page, but give Hassan Defense credit. He's covering one of the best wide receivers in the country, and he went up and made a play for his team in the red zone and took 7 points, if you will, off the board.
Kansas makes a quarterback change. Peyton Bender in for the Jayhawks. Bender looking for Kerr Johnson. And Johnson a gain of 9. So the quarterback wheel continues to spin. Bender started the first 4 games. It was Carter Stanley last week, and now Bender is lining up as a wide receiver. It's the Wildcat look. Direct snap. And Puka Williams gains the first down if the play stands.
Holding, number 56, defense. That 10-yard penalty will be added to the end of the run, and the play results in a first down.
Bender, as we told you, started the first 4 games, 4 TDs, no picks. Entering today, spent 2 years at Washington State. In fact, he started the Apple Cup as a redshirt freshman, went the junior college route before coming to Kansas last year. Bender rolling to his right, stops, backpedals, and throws it away. Why the quarterback change, Ahmad?
Scrimmage, second down.
Well, it looks like a rhythm thing. And Bender is the better passer of the two, but he's also not very mobile. And you see here, they came in, he threw a beautiful ball on a slant that ended up picking up good first down yardage. He's very poised when it comes to passing the football. And it appears as though West Virginia, which they should, has attacked the run. They force numbers into the box, and they're giving them one-on-one opportunities on the outside edge.
Yeah, the priority for this West Virginia defense is to stop number 1, Puka Williams, the freshman running back. Corner blitz. This is Khalil Herbert up the middle. And he is to the 44 as we say hello to Chris Cotter in the studio.
Hello, Anish, Ahmad. Time for DirecTV. More for your college football thing. Red River rivalry. You know, we talk about these great receivers at Texas. How about Colin Johnson from Little Jordan Humphrey? It's 10-7 right now, Texas on top.
All righty, Texas on top of Oklahoma, standing next to a Longhorn and Ahmad Brooks.
I'm trying to contain my excitement.
Third down, Kansas. Here's the blitz. Bender down the sideline, caught by Johnson for a first down.
What dime? Oh my goodness, Bender. That is a big boy throw. Over the shoulder, enough room for him to run under it. Wow. I mean, that is the reason why he's in. You asked me, look at this ball. And Washington, who last week was challenged early and often versus Texas Tech, played like a man, perhaps had his best game as a Mountaineer, giving up the bomb there.
He had the pick six to seal the win in Lubbock. Bender over the middle, caught for a touchdown. Maven Saunders, the graduate transfer from Florida State, and Kansas is on the board. New quarterback, a little spark to the offense. West Virginia saw this movie just last week.
I like it. And Doug Meacham right now is really calling a heck of a game, especially since Bender has come in the ball game. They saw something. And like I said, Roddy, you're probably seeing it from the field too. They're stacking in those numbers, and they're leaving out one-on-one opportunities and space in the middle of the field.
It's going to be all one-on-one matchups, and he did a great job of taking advantage.
Gabriel Rui has had a couple of kicks blocked. This PAT is good. 6 plays, 72 yards. Bender off the bench, finding Saunders for a Jayhawk touchdown. Maven Saunders, graduate transfer from Florida State, getting Kansas on the board. It's 14-7. The Jayhawks have not won a true Big 12 road game in more than 10 years. Last Big 12 road win, October 4th, 2008 in Ames against Iowa State. Earlier this year, Kansas snapped a 46-game road losing streak with a win against Central Michigan. Mountaineers will take it out to the 25 as we check in with Chris.
All right, guys, over on ESPN, Alabama and Arkansas. Inclement weather in the area, and Razorback fans may have just wanted this thing to be canceled from the start. That's Josh Jacobs, 21-0 Alabama in the first quarter. But here comes Arkansas. Might be making it a game. Ty Story finds Cheyenne O'Grady, the corner of the end zone. So it's 21-7. Can the Razorbacks make a comeback here on ESPN?
Yeah, Tua so far, 4 of 5, 162 yards. That might be Will Greer's biggest competition in the Heisman race.
Count out Dwayne Haskins.
Wesco. Flag is down. Wesco rumbling across midfield. Penalty marker back at the 32.
It appeared to be holding on the outside on one of the wide receivers. I couldn't quite get the number.
Holding, number 13. Offense.
Yeah, that's David
10-yard
Sills.
penalty from the spot of the foul. Still first down.
That's unfortunate. But what I will say is this. You know, he's one of your best players, and he's down there fighting and scratching. And his effort is something that when you look to, you go, well, he's at least trying.
And that is the last play of quarter number 1. A little uneven for West Virginia. Some bad snaps early. There was the interception in the end zone. But Lenny Brown, the freshman, with both touchdowns for the Mountaineers, and they've got a 7-point lead. You're watching ESPN College Football presented by ExxonMobil. Start of the second quarter in West Virginia. Mountaineers back on offense after a Kansas touchdown. And there's the tight end, Trevon Wesco, getting a lot of touches early. And Wesco takes it to the 30-yard line. A gain of 8. Sets up a third down. Tackle made by Joe Deneen, middle linebacker, leading the FBS in tackles, and he has been a mainstay in that Kansas defense throughout his Jayhawk career.
I like him. Very active player, cerebral. Use that shield. Daniel Wise in front of him, one of the best D tackles in the country.
Greer has Marcus Sims, who takes it inside the 35, a gain of almost 40.
Ooh, that was a beauty. He saw it. He knew he was going to it immediately. They gave him the look he wanted, and he didn't look anywhere else. I mean, he just went to that side of the field, and Sims, this kid is continuing to develop. And we asked Spavital yesterday, how much has Jennings and Sills helped him? And he said, well, you know what? I think Sims has helped him just as much because he's making plays, and that group right now has a competitive nature about them that's making everybody better.
Yeah, talking to Jennings and Sills, they said they were imploring Marcus Sims all offseason. There's so much potential here, and now he's starting to go kinetic.
We're seeing it.
Here's David Sills. Nice move to bounce it back. A gain of 6 yards. David Sills showing a little balance.
That was nasty. I mean, he's 6'4", 210. To be able to get in and out of his cut like this, watch it, set him up. Get out of here. I like it.
It looked like he was at the top of the key crossing him up.
That's right. David Sills, former quarterback, came to West Virginia as a QB, then transferred out. Welcome back to the program as a wide receiver. TJ Simmons looking for the edge. It's not there. Breaks the tackle. And Simmons, the big physical target for West Virginia, able to pick up a first down. So Sills and Jennings, the short-handed wideouts. Sims, the game breaker, and then you've got to deal with TJ Simmons. Yeah. It's not fair.
Two things I saw that stood out in film there. Number one, another great decision by Will Greer. And on the opposite side of the field, Kansas poor tackling. You got an opportunity out there to wrap that play up, and two players missed it. You can't miss those plays and put them in the red zone where they're already extremely sharp.
I was impressed by the block by Gary Jennings. I mean, he's the leading receiver and unselfish on the outside.
Out of a two tight end set, this is Kennedy McCoy. Takes it inside the 15. Jake Spavital, the offensive coordinator for West Virginia, told us at the start of the season it was running back by committee. Now, Kennedy McCoy has separated himself and is the clear number one.
Mad props to him. It's hard. I've lost a job, and to stay engaged and to keep competing and to just keep working, kudos to that young man.
Greer on the run. Has his tight end. This is Giovanni Hoskins. Touchdown, West Virginia.
Part of the reason why he's been so open all game long is because West Virginia is running the football and Kansas is jamming numbers in the box to try to stop him. It's so easy to slip that tight end right out of the back like they've been able to do. Play action there with the boot. Perfect play call. Yes, Jake Spavital and this offense and Will Greer moving up and down for the score.
We know how great the wide receivers are. The tight ends getting a chance to eat. We saw a little of Wesco, and then the Miami transfer, Giovanni Haskins, punches it in. And passionate fans like these by awarding the best student section of the year. The West Virginia Mountaineers section is already on the national watch list. Go to ESPN.com/Taco Bell to see how your school can compete. It's a gold rush today in Morgantown, and West Virginia with a 21-7 lead on Kansas. Jayhawks will take it out at the 25-yard line. Chris Cotter again.
Guys, last week Northwestern pushed Michigan right to the brink. This week against Michigan State, they're doing even more than that. Here's Clayton Thorson finding J.D. Jefferson. Look at this pass and catch. Beautiful on both ends. It's 14-3 Northwestern on top.
Michigan State already has that one loss back in the opener against Arizona State. Peyton Bender will come out again at quarterback for Kansas. Carter Stanley started this game. Bender started the first four. Bender, little tunnel screen. Kerr Johnson with his fourth catch already. He's got 46 yards. Speedy senior from Santa Rosa, California. Junior college transfer.
Bender's in good rhythm right now, and Doug Meacham, the offensive coordinator for the Jayhawks, is keeping him there by short throws, not asking him to do too much, and get the ball out of his hand quickly, because I believe that Kansas offensive line is outmatched by the defensive front of West Virginia.
Bender to the air. On the move, and flips it out of bounds. He was out of the pocket. The throw was past the line of scrimmage, so no grounding. But now it's third down. Now, last week when we saw West Virginia against Texas Tech, it was the speed of this defense that really jumps out to you, Ahmad.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, they're undersized, but they really do close on you quickly, and they tackle well for their size.
Puka Williams in motion. And now movement up front, and that's too bad because Kansas had man coverage all the way across.
That's unfortunate. For Kansas, you're just thinking, we start to get some rhythm. Bender's come in, giving us a spark, and another penalty.
Delay of game, number 10. Defense simulating the snap count. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. The penalty results in a first down.
So they get Dylan Tonkery. That's twice today. This penalty has been called, one on both teams. And it results now in a Kansas first down.
There is a miracle. That was the easiest first down conversion that they'll have of the entire year. Now Kansas with a spark. Look for Puka at some point to get some touches very soon.
He does here. And Williams swarmed after a short gain. Puka Williams has the most rushing yards by a Kansas player through his first 4 games. Second on that list, Gale Sayers.
Yeah, I want to get Roddy's opinion after this play about what makes him special, but this young man is definitely well on his way to being a superstar.
A little pop pass, Sims. Met behind the line of scrimmage by Tariq Pitts, who's getting the start at safety for the injured Toyas Avery. And it's 3rd and long.
Yeah, bring Puka back in the game, and he's coming back in. Roddy, what makes him so special?
Well, I think the first thing that jumps out to you is the electric speed and the acceleration that you would expect from a guy his size, only 5'10", 170. But the thing that's impressed me is the fact that he finishes runs. He's physical between the tackles. But West Virginia coaches told us if he gets his hand on it, he's in the open field. He has a chance to take it to the house from anywhere.
West Virginia brings 4. Low throw. Is it caught? It is ruled a catch by Jeremiah Booker, the senior captain, and Kansas already went for it inside their own 45 once today. They didn't get it. That was on the opening drive, and now on this fourth down, they'll send out the punt team.
Yeah, now the confusion there was, you know, they line up in that bear look West Virginia's defense does, where they have everyone lined up along the line of scrimmage, including the linebackers. What makes it so complicated and complex is they'll drop numbers back. Here goes the fake.
They'll try the fake punt. It works. A first down for Kansas. Ryan Shadler, a former sprinter at Wichita State. So David Beatty came here and said, you know what? We're a big underdog. Let's throw the kitchen sink at West Virginia.
Watch this. Oh, what a beauty. And what about the guts from Beatty? And now you put your offense back out on the field. And the most demoralizing thing for the Mountaineers is, as a defense, right?
The previous play is under further review.
As they're going to check that last play, did Shadler maybe step out of bounds? That's the mystery. We'll step aside. Hopefully we have a resolution when we come back.
It looked pretty clear, didn't it,
Bro,
guys?
I thought he had it, but
I don't know what.
What you need?
are they going to look at that last play again? One more time. 8:55 to go here in the second quarter. It looked like he was inbounds along the sideline. Maybe the question is, on that snap, was he down when he picked it up?
Yeah.
For the review, the player that received the backwards pass, his knee was not down. Therefore, the ruling on the field stands. First downs, Kansas.
There you go.
Yeah, and earlier I was making the point about how demoralizing it is for the defense, because here's what happens. You feel accomplished. You've stopped them on third down. You feel like you're about to put your explosive offense back out on the field, and this is the area you take it. Most coaches will say in between the 40s, that's where a fake could occur. And the Jayhawks had one up their sleeve, and it worked.
Carter Stanley back in at quarterback, so now we're seeing the quarterback shuffle here from Kansas. Puka Williams a gain of a yard, and what makes Williams' talent and his effectiveness even more amazing, he has no toes on his right foot. Stanley to Sims, passing it back to Stanley, incomplete, to the old double pass. Wow, they are emptying the playbook here in Morgantown.
And Jeremiah Booker was on the backside of that play. He was wide open on a post, but he didn't have enough time to make the throw because the Mountaineers sniffed it out. But yes, they are emptying their trick plays, all their gadgets and whatnot. You're on the road in a tough environment here in Morgantown. Mountaineers, a top 10 team. Shoot your shot.
Bender back in on third down. Play clock winding down. And a timeout by Kansas.
Timeout, Kansas. First of the half. Timeout on the field.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Buick, proud partner of the NCAA, and AutoZone.
Guys, this is the turnover hard hat, the turnover helmet that West Virginia uses. It's got to be the most blue collar of all the turnover props. When we talked to David Long about it yesterday, he said when the coaches approached him about it, he wasn't really sure that it was going to work. He wasn't sure it was going to fit on all the guys' heads. But once he got the entire team to buy in, they have been all about it. And every player who gets a turnover actually signs it as well. So turnover props are all the rage, but if you want one that's blue collar, come here to West Virginia.
Now,
like
two
that.
things. One, David Long said if a D lineman ends up with a turnover, it may not fit. Secondly, it's completely functional. Real helmet with a working light.
That's great.
Third down, Kansas. In Mountaineer territory, Bender too high. Good coverage on Kwame Lassiter by Drayvon Askew-Henry. And now it's fourth down. All right, what does David Beatty do on this fourth down?
Yeah, he's punting, and I think it's the right decision. Now you want to make them drive the length of the field. Look, you're battling right now, and fortunately for Kansas, we haven't seen the best football from the Mountaineers. Their offense hasn't looked sharp, and at some point you expect for them to explode and be explosive.
Sills watches this one bounce near the 10. West Virginia ball inside the 10-yard line. Chris Cotter in the studio.
Well, I know Ahmad's enjoying your game, Anish, but he might enjoy this update as well. Texas back on the board again against Oklahoma. Ellinger finds Trey Watson here, matched up on a linebacker. Forget about it. 17-10. Longhorns on top, second quarter.
Yeah, Cotter, you know I'm excited about that. And the Horns, this is an opportunity for us to finally showcase what we do. And listen, Oklahoma's a great football team. I expect that matchup to come down to the wire, but it's good to see the Horns fighting early.
Letty Brown, 2 touchdowns in the first half, taken down for a loss of a yard. Keith Lonecker on this stop. Now, talking to the West Virginia players, they felt they could not sustain their energy last week against Texas Tech for whatever reason. And Dana Holgorsen said this game is a challenge because you know you're up against an overmatched opponent. Can you keep the focus for 60 minutes? Sims wide open. And dropped at the 30, a first down for West Virginia. Now, Marcus Sims has really blossomed into one of the best receivers in the Big 12 this season.
Breakaway speed and his top end speed and his acceleration. He's got all 3 of those. That time there, though, he used his common sense and just sat down right in the middle of an open zone. They got right in behind Joe Deneen, who didn't see him coming from the backside.
Two tight ends in the game. We have a flag. Tight ends have been a weapon in the passing game today for West Virginia.
Delay of game, number 96. Defense simulating the snap count for the offense to false start. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
That's 3 times a defensive player today has been called for delay of game for trying to simulate the snap count.
Yeah, this time the all-conference defensive tackle Daniel Wise from Louisville, Texas. It's hard to blame him. You got to do something to slow down this offense.
Career throwing far sideline. He's got Simmons. And the first down for West Virginia. That 2 tight end set, Roddy, has been effective for the Mountaineers. Why?
Well, they've gotten a ton of mileage out of it. It signals, typically, when you bring those 2 tight ends in, if you're West Virginia, it signals run, but they've done a great job of sneaking those tight ends out into the flat. And even though they didn't go to a tight end there, it frees up the underneath throws like the one that you just saw.
Greer has Tevin Bush. And a first down for Bush, the 5'6" sophomore out of New Orleans.
And this is what I love about Greer. He does, despite having so many good players, especially Sills and Jennings at the wide receiver position, he doesn't lock in. He spreads the football around, and what that indicates to me is that he's throwing to the open man, that he's able to read schemes. And once again, finding space in the middle of the field and throws a beauty.
Greer downfield. He wants Sims turned around. and incomplete. Marcus Sims got a little turned around. Otherwise, that might have been a touchdown.
That's a very difficult throw to adjust to. But you like the idea of it. Instead of Will throwing it towards the sideline, he knew of Sims' speed, so he throws it over the top. The adjustment here, where he had to flip his head right back around. What you'd like to see there, maybe not try to run through the catch, and in hindsight, jump up and just haul it in for a big one. And you don't necessarily need to get in the end zone, but I like what they were doing here as they now show their bunch look.
Yeah, they love taking shots on first down, West Virginia. This is second down. Sills. And it sets up a third down for the Mountaineers, entering the game of 59% on third down. Fourth in the FBS, best in the Big 12.
And at this distance, too, you can still run the football. You spread them out like they've had. They've gone 4 wides, 2 by 2, really thinning out the numbers in the box. And you've got favorable numbers right now inside the box if you wanted to run.
They'll throw. And Gary Jennings has his first catch. And where Fed in held luck. Swooped down during practice one day, swatted it away. A few feathers fell, he put him in his helmet, and a tradition was born.
That's awesome.
Here's Tevin Bush. He's got some great speed. What a spin move. And Bush finally upended near the 10-yard line, a gain of 9.
Yeah, he took a shot there, though, at the end of that. And that safety came up and really exploded through his legs. It's the only way you could tackle a guy that, with that type of wiggle and quickness. But the first move, yikes. Jeremiah McCullough. Man.
Brown to the outside, stiff arm. Takes a big hit from Jeremiah McCullough. But Letty Brown able to move the chains. It's 1st and goal for West Virginia.
And watch the end of this collision here. Stiff arm. McCullough a little upset from the previous play and expressed his frustration.
Brown's got 2 touchdowns in the game, 1 receiving, 1 rushing. Greer to throw. He wants Sills. A little too long. Covered well that time by Elmore Hempstead.
That's as good as you can do there. I mean, you just throw your hands up at that point and say, they won. Because you found the match. I will take that matchup all day long. And yet and still, Kansas comes away and makes a play. And I know from playing quarterback, cornerback, those are difficult times. You're out there, you're locked up, you're in press coverage, and the only thing that you can use is what they call that 12th defender, that back line. And you just want to force him to that back line and hope that the quarterback misses on a throw. But good coverage there from the Jayhawks.
Another double tight end look for West Virginia with Brown, the running back. And we get a timeout from Dana Holgerson.
West Virginia
with the play clock at 1.
30 seconds in length.
Sports Center tonight on ESPN after Utah and Stanford with Bucci and Stan. A complete post-fight breakdown from UFC 229. The best of Week 6 in college football and American League Division Series. A couple of Game 2s. Houston, Cleveland, New York, and Boston. 2nd and goal, West Virginia.
It's a run here.
Letty Brown devoured in the backfield by Daniel Wise, the All-Big 12 selection and the anchor of that defensive line for Kansas.
Yeah, when he's drafted, come April, you'll play plays like this because this is what he does extremely well. Besides just shielding Joe Deneen, the middle linebacker, but did you see him just get through that crease? I mean, the kid is 6'3", 290, and that Texas high school football product is the real deal.
3rd and goal. Let's see if they go to Sills. Looking for Sills. It's intercepted. Hassan Defense is 2nd of the game. He's got 1 man to beat. Defense taken down. How about the hustle hustle by the quarterback, Will Greer, to save a touchdown. But defense now with 2 interceptions in the end zone.
Here's the thing with Will Greer. He's got moxie. He's got confidence. And then speaking to Jake Spavital yesterday, he said even the touchdown they had to Jennings last week on the goal line where it was good coverage, he said sometimes he throws balls where he shouldn't. And when you've got this type of confidence and you're rolling the way he has, you do that. That is a poor mistake from a Heisman candidate. And he's going to have to come back and make that up for his team. He better hope that his defense stands tall here.
Bender at quarterback for Kansas. Lost the ball, able to recover. And he's eaten up in the backfield by Kenny Bigelow, the 6th-year senior and graduate transfer from USC. Yeah, 2 uncharacteristic plays by Greer, throwing interceptions in that spot.
And we talked earlier, and I said the only way that Kansas will have a shot in this game, frankly, and I think everybody was thinking this, they've got to get early turnovers. They've managed to get that. Now they've got to get points off of turnovers.
Bender, downfield, dangerous pass. Kansas gives it right back. Hakeem Bailey with the interception.
This is textbook zone coverage. Eyeing the quarterback, breaking on the ball with efficiency and quickness, and then completing the play.
A Hakeem Bailey interception means Bailey gets to wear the turnover Miners helmet. He'll put his John Hancock on it as well.
That's cool.
And West Virginia has the ball back with 3:42 to go in the first half.
Ahmad, what would y'all's turnover prop have been at Texas?
I don't know, man. I like a saddle. Let me get on the saddle and pretend I'm riding a horse or something. Y'all know I'm country.
TJ Simmons stood up after a gain of 7. Chris Cotter in the studio.
Okay, guys, halftime coming up. Emmanuel Acho, Jim Moore will join me. We'll get you caught up on what's happening between Texas and Oklahoma. Longhorns just scored again. They're playing a great first half of football. Also, speaking of great first halves, Tua is unbelievable. Alabama, Arkansas highlights of that one on the way as well. We'll see you at the half.
David Sills. That was a backward pass from Will Greer. Well-designed play. And a first down for West Virginia in Kansas territory.
Guys, all that is a triple option play with a little wrinkle. Instead of a pitch back, he's got the option to throw it to a receiver out there on the edge. Great read by Will Greer.
All day for Greer. And finds Gary Jennings covered by Tornadon. Doesn't matter if they're covered. Will Greer will find you. Another first down for the Mountaineers.
Yeah, Jennings, of all the wide receivers on this team, has the strongest pair of hands. And last week had some drops that were uncharacteristic of his game and what you see from him on film. That time they're making up for his quarterback with a diving catch and a first down conversion.
1:20 to go. Greer incomplete, looking for Sills, who wanted a flag. Tornadon on the coverage. 2 interceptions by this Kansas defense in the first half. In their 2 wins against Rutgers and Central Michigan, the Jayhawks forced 6 turnovers each in those games.
He looked a little handsy here. No, Tornadon, that's clearly pass interference. Yeah, the pull there. Sometimes the officials don't see it. The back judge didn't call it. Play on.
Greer, far sideline, that's caught. Stiff arm by Simmons, who picks up a first down. The physicality of the redshirt sophomore who began his career with the Crimson Tide.
Get off me. That's what that stiff arm said to me. Oh, my goodness.
1st and 10, clock continues to run. Mountaineers still have a couple of timeouts. Greer checks down to Petaway. The junior from Detroit bounces off one defender, takes it to the 10. 35 seconds to go, 32 seconds now. And we get a timeout from the Mountaineers. Tonight on ABC, Notre Dame and Virginia Tech. Hokies had that horrible loss to Old Dominion, followed it up with a win on the road against a ranked Duke team last week. And the quarterback now for Virginia Tech is Ryan Willis, a Kansas transfer. And
How about that?
you got to feel a little bit for the Jayhawks, because the optics of that don't look good when Willis played so well against Duke last week, given that the quarterback position really has been a revolving door of uncertainty for 4 years.
You're right. But then moving this forward, how does this rank Virginia Tech? I start to look at the ACC in particular, Clemson, Miami, Syracuse, BC. Virginia Tech is around that 15 for me. And, we'll see what Willis is able to do. But, as we're calling the Jayhawks and we're seeing them having to go back and forth between quarterbacks, I bet they wish he was in the Jayhawks uniform.
He went to Virginia Tech as a walk-on, worked his way up the depth chart. An injury opened the door for playing time. Give this to Petaway, right up the middle. Inside the forward. Holds on to the ball at the 3-yard line. 25 seconds to go. 1st and goal. Clock will momentarily stop. Back to Petaway, gobbled up immediately for a loss. And the Mountaineers use their final timeout of this first half. West Virginia came into this game as the best red zone team in the country. 5 trips earlier today, 3 TDs, and a couple of interceptions, not as clean as they've been.
Yeah, and I think when you look at it last week, it played in their favor with Greer throwing some risky throws. Today, the Jayhawks, to their credit, the #1 team in the country in terms of turnover margin and takeaways, now looks back and they go, you know what? We really are the real deal. 2 interceptions versus this offense is an impressive stat. But then you go back, okay, what does that mean? Despite your offense not even being able to capitalize on those, you've taken 14 points off of the board, which keeps this a 14-point game with an opportunity for you to still stick around, and who knows what will happen.
But if you have any chance of beating West Virginia on the road, those positive momentum plays, you have to build off of that. And one interception did lead to a touchdown, but after the last one, you give it right back. You had the fake punt for a 4th down. That drive resulted in no points. You're not going to get that many of those opportunities against a top 10 team on the road.
Agreed.
2nd and goal now for West Virginia. Greer. Intercepted for the 3rd time this half. Davon Ferguson. 3 red zone turnovers for West Virginia.
That is one of those ones, if you're Dana Holgerson or Jake Spavital, you look at your quarterback and you go, huh? Because, listen, I love Will Greer. He's my Heisman favorite. If I had a vote, I'd vote for this kid. But these are the mistakes you can't make. You can't convince me, right, that you're the most clutch player, the most outstanding player in the country when you make these plays. 3 consecutive times today he's tried to jam one in. I personally felt like they should have run the football there. The 2 safeties were sitting high and over the middle of the field. They were clearly trying to take away the pass. There you maybe try to put it on the ground, and it looked as though it was a zone read where he had the option to hand the ball off. Poor performance thus far inside of the red zone for Will Greer.
And Kansas will take that interception into the locker room. You look at the stat sheet, 345 yards for West Virginia, only 82 for Kansas. But 3 interceptions in areas where you had a chance to score. Instead of this game being a runaway, the Jayhawks still within striking distance. Halftime after these messages with Chris Cotter and company. Like this game was going to get out of hand and West Virginia would pull away, but some costly mistakes down by the goal line for the Mountaineers, and it's only a 21-7 game. Mountaineers up 2 touchdowns, Anish Shroff, Ahmad Brooks. Will Greer, Heisman hopeful, uncharacteristic. 3 first-half interceptions, all in the end zone.
He's played poorly there, and you know, and they've been poor decisions. I think that's the thing that stands out the most that Dana's not happy about. You look at these throws. Last week, he got away with one. Gary Jennings inside of the end zone was able to squeeze one in for a touchdown, but not today. And give the Jayhawks credit. These are difficult catches to make. They're cutting wide receivers off. They're being aggressive defensively. But it's been Will Greer that I think has been most disappointing inside of the red zone. And in that last possession, I thought they should have handed off the ball. They opted to throw it. And at this point, if you're Will Greer, you've got to come back out here and really show your team what you're made of.
Roddy Jones spoke with Dana Holgorsen just a moment ago.
Coach, 3 turnovers in the red zone. What's the adjustment that you make in the second half?
Well, it comes down being able to run the ball a little bit better. You know, they're dropping 8. You know, that's kind of been their deal. If they're able to drop 8, then they're going to throw it to them eventually. We just got to do a better job of running the ball, take care of the ball.
Ultimately, you're winning the football game. What was your message to the team?
Well, I don't care if it's 42-7 or 7-7. We got to do a better job in the second half. That's what we've been talking about all week.
Thanks, Coach.
Kansas ball to begin this third quarter. Peyton Bender did not start the game. Will throw on first down, and he completes it to the near sideline. Stephon Robinson, sophomore from Los Angeles. There's a flag down back at the 27.
An eligible man downfield, number 67, offense on a forward pass that crossed the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot, still first down.
Penalty on right tackle Kevin Feeder. And for Kansas, Ahmad, if you have any shot of pulling this off, you now need to start to capitalize off of some of these momentum changes that you've had.
You're 100% right. And, you know, even there, you know, that's a rare call. That's as rare as finding a Ruby outside that you get an offensive lineman downfield. But you know, Bender comes out. He's on the move. Perfect throw. And by the way, he's been outstanding when they move him out of the pocket. I think they need to continue to go to that.
And another whistle. More flags down.
Snap infraction, number 53, offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Center Alex Fontana guilty as we check in again with Roddy.
Guys, I caught up with David Beatty, and he said something very similar to what you said, Ahmad. Said that they have to capitalize on some of those chances, and it's not the extraordinary plays. He said a routine play. If someone's able to make it today, they're going to become a household name in this game.
Behind the chains on first down. On the delay, there's Puka Williams. And a flag at the end of the play as Williams got past the original line of scrimmage.
Saw the explosivity of this shot, man. Oh my goodness. Dropping dimes all over the field like it's nobody's business.
Illegal block in the back, number 14, offense, 10-yard penalty, still second down.
Not the start you want if you're Kansas to begin this third quarter. Penalty, penalty, penalty.
And 2 of those 3 penalties have negated good plays. That was a 10-yard run. The other one was a 13-yard catch. Somebody's got to grab a hold of somebody's face mask inside of that huddle and say, let's go.
Bender looks to the sideline. Pumps. Now he'll throw, and tackled by David Long. Jabril Robinson there as well, second and long.
That was great coverage on the outside edge. Keith Washington leaving no space or windows, and then Long Jr.
Yeah, and Derek Pitts also, Ahmad. I'm sorry, Derek Pitts was not fooled by that fake handoff. He was right under that throw, so actually a really good decision by Peyton Bender to just eat that.
Bender gets rid of it quickly. And there's Pitts again. Good play in space as Kwame Lassiter II, the son of the former Kansas Jayhawk and longtime NFL defensive back Kwame Lassiter,
Look,
Third down.
I'd like to see for Kansas to get more creative in getting the ball to Puka Williams. He's your best offensive threat. Find ways to get him the football. Now they go into an empty look. They got one-on-one opportunities all across the field. Can they win the matchup?
Mountaineers showing pressure. Bender to throw. Downfield, and that's caught. It's Booker. Washington had the coverage, a gain of 36. And Kansas into West Virginia territory.
Win your matchup. And the defense for West Virginia had everybody drop. There was not one person to rush the passer. I don't know if I've ever seen that. And Bender putting the ball on the money to Booker to beat the coverage. Jayhawks pick up a big play and keep their offense on the field.
A look at Bender's numbers today. Came in for Carter Stanley. On the delay, Puka Williams cuts it to the outside, and Williams forced out of bounds near the 30-yard line. A four-star recruit out of high school, a big get for Kansas. Williams said no despite late overtures from LSU into Nebraska. And he's been a game breaker.
Yes, indeed.
Williams out of the backfield, 6 catches last week. Not much running room. Akeem Bailey, who's got a pick in this game, got to him right away.
Here, I can take that. You know why I can take it? Because this offense is trying to get him the football. I'm not sure if I've seen a player this year, and we've covered some great ones, that set up the move as well as he does. The distance at which he does it, it doesn't provide you an opportunity to get a second chance. Last week, he had a run that looked like Barry Sanders in the backfield. I don't even know how he got out of it. And you see him, you've got to get him touches. He's a special player indeed.
This is Herbert. Up the middle, Herbert's got a lane. Touchdown, Kansas.
Yeah, now is when you get worried, because they just run that right up the gut. You know, and listen, if you're going to let them get yards, and just poor penetration, great job of sealing it off on the backside from the left side of the Jayhawk line. But man, if you're the Mountaineers and your defense comes in, you've already given up as many points as you average. And we just are early in the third quarter.
The PAT by Rui is good. Khalil Herbert ran for 291 yards against West Virginia last year. Punches this in. It's a 7-point game in Morgantown. Kansas last won a Big 12 road game, a true conference road game, almost 10 years ago to the date. October 4th, 2008 against Iowa State. 41 straight Big 12 road losses. Under David Beatty, they are 1-28 in conference play. The only win came against Texas in 2016. And it is a one-score game here, 21-14, as Marcus Sims will return this. Sims has an opening. And Sims slingshots to the 35, brought down by Liam Jones, the kickoff specialist. Stream college football all season long on ESPN+, so start your free trial today by downloading the ESPN app or visiting ESPNplus.com. Ahmad, we were talking about this at halftime. You played at Texas, so you played Kansas every year. And you said this was the hardest game to get up for, right?
Yeah, it is, because of the numbers you just showed. You know, you're either thinking about one or two things. You're either thinking about building up your stats or what you're going to do after the game. And West Virginia, a team now with a lot of veterans.
On the field was that the runner was down by rule. Previous play is under further review.
Yeah, and if you're West Virginia, you've got a lot of veteran leaders in your locker room. And the message that we got from talking to the coaches is that they weren't going to have this lull, but Kansas has come out here, they fought hard, and now what you see is a 21-14 game, the Mountaineers.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Sling TV. The live TV you love with no long-term contracts. Watch 7 days free at Sling.com.
The review resulted in no change to the original call. The ball came out after Marcus Sims was ruled down. That was the calling on the field. There was an immediate recovery once that ball comes out, but no indisputable evidence to overturn the call. So West Virginia will have it from the 35-yard line. Kansas has closed to within a touchdown against a Mountaineer team ranked in the top 10 for the first time since 2012. And Kennedy McCoy gashes the defense on first down for a gain of 8. And I get the feeling, Ahmad, you may see a lot more of the run game here in the second half.
Dana said it to Roddy, and I think he's absolutely right. They're dropping back numbers, two high safeties, trying to prevent these wide receivers and Will Grier from winning on the outside edge, run it right down their throat.
Back to McCoy. And he stumbles forward for a gain of 1, 3rd and short.
I'd like to see some outside runs. I mean, you got one of the more dominant defensive players in Daniel Wise plugging up the middle. Get something on the edge. McCoy, I thought last week came in and really provided a spark on the road in Lubbock. Keep feeding him.
McCoy, the junior from Lexington, North Carolina, 70-plus yards in 3 straight games. Out of the eye. And they'll give it to the up back for a first down. Letty Brown. Brown's been the leading rusher today, 75 yards on the ground. Couple of touchdowns, 1 receiving, 1 rushing.
Yeah, you may see that formation and that play maybe 5 times all year long for West Virginia. The fullback dive.
Grier to throw on first down. Has Sills on the drag route. And a nice pickup on first down by David Sills, who had once committed to USC to play quarterback in 7th grade. And it's been a long, winding road to Morgantown. Came to the Mountaineers, wanting to play quarterback, just didn't work out at quarterback, left the program, came back, and has embraced being one of the best wide receivers in the Big 12.
Great story and perseverance for sure.
McCoy showing patience and then explosion.
That's great, you know, and he showed sparks of this last week where you said it. He hides behind that offensive line, and then he just explodes. That was a brilliant cut to be able to open up the spacing on the left side, and now they're in rhythm. And that's what happens when you're playing where you're balanced and you're rushing, or at least attempting to rush. With this passing offense, things start to open up on the edge.
Grier to throw. He's got Gary Jennings. And you're starting to see the offense open up. And, you know, it's easy to say, well, Kansas is dropping 8. Why not just run the ball in the first half? You have a quarterback who can, 1, make the throws, and you have receivers who can make those catches in tight quarters. You can get a little spoiled.
But then also, that's why you run the zone read and the run, and the RPOs, as they call them, the run-pass option. Give your quarterback the chance to make a decision.
Here is McCoy, and he'll move the chains for West Virginia. Kennedy McCoy, #1 running back on this team, now came into the game averaging almost 6.5 yards per carry.
Yeah, he's in good rhythm right now, and, you know, he's going to get a breather, but I try to get him back in as soon as he's caught his breath. And now, you know, here's what's happened. Now you're starting to see a 1 high safety look. They've now brought him in, dropped him down in the box. Now is when Will Grier can do work with the wide receivers.
There's the pressure from Kansas out of the backfield, and Brown drops it. Oh, that was the right read and the right call. Letty Brown unable to hang on.
The freshman, listen, he's played well today. The young man from Philadelphia has been balling. This time here, he's got to get his head around sooner. And Roddy can tell you that when you're coming out of the backfield, expect it quickly, especially if you know the blitz or pressure is coming.
Yeah, it's always a little awkward. You know, which way am I going to turn? How wide am I going to get? That one was a little hot, but that's why we play running back and not receiver.
Grier moves the pocket, gets a block from Haskins. Downfield for Sills, incomplete, no flag. Covered by the terrific freshman Corian Harris, #2 in white, a 4-star recruit for Kansas. And now you've got a 3rd down from the 23-yard line.
That was a safe shot. And, you know, let's see what Kansas is going to do defensively. and it appears as though they're going to go more with a too-high safety look, and that gives you numbers inside of the box. What it also does, it allows you to work the middle of the field. If you can get somebody to occupy that space, get in behind one of those hooks or curls behind the linebackers, you may have a shot of converting here.
Against a four-man rush, Greer steps up, flag down. Greer to the outside, he'll try to run for it. Tackled shy of the marker. 4th down, but a penalty first. And this could knock West Virginia almost out of field goal range. Evan Staley on the season has not hit from longer than 35.
Number 65, offense, 10-yard penalty from the previous spot, still 3rd down.
Yeah, that's a big penalty on Isaiah Hardy. Staley's career long is only 36. So now 3rd and 20 from the 33. Kansas trying to get its personnel in.
Yeah, I think the right thing here is just try to put yourself in field goal range. They've gone with another too-high safety look if you're Kansas, which they just called a timeout.
Timeout, Kansas, first to half.
Keep things in front of you and have your DBs come up and tackle.
Big 3rd down coming up. 6:46 left in the 3rd. A big 3rd and 20 for West Virginia from the Kansas 33. The Jayhawks putting a little bit of a scare into this Mountaineer crowd. It's a 7-point game. Greer under pressure, lost the football. And Kansas appears to have it. It is Kansas ball, another turnover for West Virginia. J.J. Holmes covered it up.
Recovered by Kansas, 1st down.
Wow. I don't think this day can get any worse for Will Greer. He made the right decision to try to get outside of the pocket. Now, great effort there from Kyron Johnson from Arlington, Texas, to chase him down. But you've got to have better ball security there and more awareness. Now the Jayhawks offense back out on the field. The question will be, again, can you capitalize?
Bender under pressure. He's got nowhere to go and engulfed back at the 40. And Ahmad, you hit it. That's what we talked about. Kansas has gotten some big plays from its defense, special teams with the fake punt. And then your first play right after results in a sack. That's not how you beat a top 10 team on the road.
No, and somebody's got to take charge here. And I still believe, you know, you've got to get opportunities and touches to your top guy, Puka Williams.
Williams has been held in check by this fast West Virginia defense.
And they like to run. It's about 80% run in this formation.
They call it the Trey formation. And Puka Williams ran into yellow jersey after yellow jersey. Halted at the line of scrimmage, 3rd and long.
That's good sound team defense. And now this is where it gets interesting. Bender, not the most athletic guy on the field. Frankly, can be caught sometimes a statue in the pocket. And we all know that the defensive coordinator, Tony Gibson for West Virginia, loves to bring the house on 3rd down. Appears right now they've got a middle of the field safety, so maybe a 5 or 6 man blitz, or they drop everybody back.
It's a 3-man rush. Underneath, Robinson tackled well shy of the marker. So Kansas's defense comes up with the turnover, and the Jayhawks promptly go 3 and out.
And now you're starting to get discouraged if you're this defense that continues. That's your 4th turnover or takeaway that you've made today, and this offense just hasn't done anything with it. And yes, you may get good field position, and yes, you took West Virginia's offense off of the field, but I'll guarantee you this. If Will Greer is the player that we think he is, Kansas will not get another opportunity to be going down to score, right, to tie up the ball game.
Kyle Thompson, line drive kick. Fielded by Sims across the 20. Stutter step. And taken down at the 23, a 37-yard punt. No harm, no foul. West Virginia gets it back after the turnover. Last week in a road win against Texas Tech, West Virginia scored 28 points in the first quarter. That team that you saw in the first quarter in Lubbock, they can beat anybody. We just have not seen that team since. They had to hold on in the second half, and it's been an uninspired effort today against a Kansas team that came in with a 2-3 record and was 0-2 in the Big 12. Dominique Maiden near sideline. A first down at the 35-yard line, a gain of 13. Ahmad, I know you brought it up. Kansas maybe doesn't always bring out your best effort. It's a hard game to get up for. But when we talked to the West Virginia players and coaches, everything we heard yesterday was they were so upset about how the game against Texas Tech ended. We expected a big-time effort out of the gates.
Definitely did.
Letty Brown has a hole. And a first down across the 45, a gain of 11 for Brown.
And I think to your point, at this point in the season, I don't think anybody's identity has been set. So you're still trying to discover as there's an injured man on the field.
That's a big one. That's the center, Matt Jones.
Oh, yeah, and they feel like he's just starting to find his stride there at the center back position. You never like to see anybody get injured as he's now hobbling around on the sideline.
The one area Kansas felt they had an advantage against West Virginia, that nose tackle and that center position, the interior of that line. This time Brown breaks free and is tripped up by Tornaden, who may have saved the touchdown. 22 yards for Letty Brown. Now over 100 yards on the day.
Yeah, and I'd look over there at Pooka Williams and say, hey, I'm the best freshman out here. Because this was a very tough and physical run. Great job of driving his legs through contact. And it's hard to tackle a back who moves that well and that strong with their lower half of their body.
Brown wrapped up after a short gain. Chris Cotter in the studio.
Guys, right after a short Sam Ehlinger run gave Texas a 14-point lead. Kyler Murray comes right back for the Horns. 77 yards. To Marquise Brown. How does that receiver get behind the defense? Now 31-24 Texas.
Now the two top teams in the Big 12 in trouble. Oklahoma at the Cotton Bowl against Texas. West Virginia holding on right now against Kansas as Greer finds TJ Simmons. Sixth catch for Simmons.
Guys, we saw the center, Matt Jones, exit the game, but Letty Brown also made his way off the field. And they're looking at that right lower leg. He's a little banged up right now. We'll see if he returns.
Now we'll stay tuned. Brown has seemingly moved up now to be that number 2 back ahead of Martell Pettaway on the depth chart. Pettaway in the game on 3rd and 3. Greer was looking for Simmons, who slipped. And now Greer's got nowhere to go, escapes, picks up a block, and Will Greer, the improv for the first down. You wanted a little magic from Will Greer. There is.
Yeah, this crowd is not booing the play. They're booing the fact that their Heisman candidate got mashed into the turf. And they're wanting a call here, and I'll be frank, I don't know how they didn't get one.
His helmet comes off, and there's no flag, which means by rule he's got to come off the play for one play. He's got to come off the field unless West Virginia uses a timeout. But yeah, that was very close.
And as he comes off the field, Dana Holgorsen is on the field, and he's barking at the officials. But what a Heisman moment. This is what I mean. Listen, for people that are at home and you go, well, they're not playing very well versus Kansas. Being a former Texas player, you go back and you look at the 2005 run for the Horns, they struggled to get out of Lawrence. Vince Young had to make a miraculous play for them to win that game. They go on to win a national title. Kansas is one of those teams that is difficult, but that play from Will Greer, let me tell you, if he wins a Heisman, you look back at plays like this, he's not even a runner. He just ran for a first down, extended the change. Expect to see a handoff here from the backup.
Yeah, Jack Allison, the backup, the Miami transfer in the game. Because the helmet came off, Greer had to leave by rule for one play, and there is a run. Kansas knew it was coming, and Petaway is dropped in the backfield. Now that play should give this West Virginia team some juice. Roddy,
I agree.
The players talked about the sideline being dead in the second half last week. What's been the demeanor today?
Up until that point, it had been a little dead in the second half, but Will Greer has definitely injected some energy here, not just amongst the guys in uniform, but the entire sideline down here is fired up over the fact that they didn't get a call there and the play that Greer made.
Greer back into the game, and a strike to Marcus Sims, but incomplete. He could not hold on, and it's 3rd and long from the 21.
And this is their 7th time in the red zone. Keep in mind, they've had 3 interceptions, all caught inside of the end zone. Here's the end of this play to see if it was a catch. Yeah, great call by the officials. And now the pressure goes back to Will Greer. You're back inside of the red zone again. He's made some mistakes down here. Can he put that S on his chest and pull the Mountaineers out of the muck they're in offensively?
And a timeout from Kansas.
Kansas. First of the half.
1:04 to go in this 3rd quarter. West Virginia has won 4 in a row against Kansas, looking to stay unbeaten in the Big 12. As they're looking at this play. Yeah, I think that's going to be, did that ball hit the ground? I think that's the question.
Or if it's an interception.
Yeah. If the ball doesn't hit the ground, oh boy, that would be Hassan Defense's 3rd interception.
And the 4th takeaway this defense has had inside of the red zone.
Yeah, I mean this is 21-yard line. I mean, pretty much the red zone, not officially, but for all intents and purposes.
It was in the red zone. They had a tackle for loss on 1st down. But definitely, wow.
And does that ball hit the ground? Now the ruling on the field was incomplete. So did you see enough there to overturn it? That's going to be the question.
Oh my goodness. And this is why these plays were so hard. And you know, instant replay was supposed to clear up some things. Sometimes it makes it even more complicated because you get a chance to look at it, and it's based on discretion. And you're right, the call was incomplete pass. And our camera crew's doing a wonderful job. And there's a back angle that they showed that appeared though that ball never hits the ground and that it stayed up.
Right there when the ball goes
behind
Sims's left leg, it's tough to see. And again, if there is a shred of doubt, you default to the call on the field. And they're looking at this a long time. Do you think that is indisputable evidence, Samad?
That it was an incomplete pass?
Well, is there enough to overturn it?
From what I saw, if I'm making that call, that's an interception. It's just hard.
You think there's
the angle that we
evidence?
had on the back end, I didn't see anywhere where that ball hit the ground. And, you know, look, who am I? I'm just a DB, and maybe I'm trying to help my defensive backs out here. But the reality of it is I didn't see anything there that told me that indicated the ball hit the ground. And that's why I think they're deliberating so long, because if it was clear, they'd already come back out and made a call. It looks like the official here is about to make one.
After review, the ruling on the field stands, incomplete pass. Kansas will not be charged a timeout as the paging system went off before the Kansas head coach called the timeout. It's going to be 3rd down.
Oh, wow. That's one of those plays, if you're a Jayhawk at home watching this game, you're thinking, we just got robbed.
I'm not so sure, Ahmad. I look at that and I say, I didn't see indisputable video evidence. And I think, again, could it have hit the ground or not? Sure, there's a possibility there, but wasn't indisputable. Now, what's indisputable is Martell Petaway picking up a 1st down on 3rd and 12. And that's a momentum swing now for West Virginia.
That was smooth. And as Dana asked and told Roddy, he said, we need to run the football more. In the 3rd quarter, they've committed to their ground game. And I think they're seeing the success of that. You know, they're well on their way to punching it on here in the red zone. But go back. If I'm here, I hand it off at least twice before I even give Greer a chance to throw.
They'll give it to Petaway, who is stood up by Kamara.
I'll take that. You're running the football well right now, and you're in rhythm on the ground. And that was another play where he could have decided, as the time continues to tick away, you may even want to take this one into the fourth quarter if I'm the Mountaineers.
Greer to Petaway. Wide open touchdown, West Virginia. And boy, did the Mountaineers need that heading into the fourth quarter.
I love the play call from Spavital. Dana said this. They're dropping numbers back. They only rush 4. So what do? Roddy, you know this. You go underneath. You pop them with that swing pass, and it worked to perfection.
Well, Mont, I don't think they've thrown it to the running back down in the red area yet. They picked the perfect time to do it here.
Extra point is good. Will Greer, 3 TD passes, 290 yards. Martell Petaway, first touchdown of 2018, and West Virginia with a little breathing room going to the fourth. (28-14) West Virginia. We go to the fourth quarter. Mountaineers in the top 10. They might be the team to beat in the Big 12 after today, with Texas up 2 touchdowns on Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry. Alabama cruising in that one spot. AP Top 10 rankings brought to you by Capital One. Oklahoma and West Virginia picked to finish 1-2 in the Big 12. Kansas picked to finish last. Fair catch made inside the 5 by Rule. It'll come out to the 25. And here's Chris Cotter in the studio.
Guys, we had a delay in Michigan because of weather, but they're underway in the big house. 10-7, Wolverines on top. Jay Patterson's going to roll out. Look at that Maryland player. Thought he had a pick. Instead, he gets run over by his own teammate. Ronnie Bell with the score. 16-7 right now, Michigan on top. Michigan State and Northwestern. Felton Davis had a rushing touchdown a moment ago. Now he picks one out of the air. 19-14, Michigan State. Now, they've been down most of this game. Now they're up.
All right, Chris, thank you. Think about Maryland, Texas. Boy, if that result is different, we're looking at the Longhorns differently right now. Puka Williams reverses field. And Williams accelerates across the 30, close to the first down.
Look, Roddy can tell you, no running back coach in the country is telling you to reverse field like that. You've got to be special. And this is the fastest defense in the country that he just reversed field on and picked up yards. That is amazing.
Yeah, I would say the creativity to think about doing it and then the ability to execute it.
No doubt.
And that's one of those, no, okay, that's fine. That's fine. You can do that.
There's Herbert right up the middle for a first down. Chris with an update on the Red River rivalry.
Yeah, you know, you think of Kyler Murray as the guy who gets it done on the ground from that quarterback spot, but Sam Ehlinger has 3 touchdowns rushing, 1 through the air. It's a 14-point lead for Texas right now in the third.
Ahmad, your numbers against Oklahoma in your career: 1 interception, couple of PBUs. What was your record?
I was 2-2. And, you know, they beat us the year they went to the national title, and then in my senior year, it was a slugfest in Dallas.
Not much for Herbert.
And Anish, let me tell you, that interception, all interceptions are not created equal. That interception Ahmad had was a game-winning diving interception. Honestly, I wasn't sure that he had it in him, honestly. But after seeing that play, I had mad respect for what he did against the Sooners.
You and the Oklahoma Twitter fans certainly didn't think I was capable of it, but I appreciate the love, my friend.
I was surprised Roddy was the one that brought it up. I thought for sure you were going to bring that today.
Oh, boy.
Peyton Bender, the quarterback, started the first 4 games, did not start today and last week. Came on in relief of Carter Stanley. And do we have a delay of game, or did Kansas call a timeout?
Before the delay
by the
of game,
Jayhawks.
timeout, Kansas. Timeout on the field.
Kansas with one timeout, facing a 2nd and 10 from its own 41. Made by participating universities, Allstate will make a contribution to the school's general scholarship fund. Thank you, Allstate. 2nd and 10 Kansas, ball on the Jayhawks 41. Now a 2-touchdown game. West Virginia showing the pressure. A rush 3, drop 8. Bender in trouble, not very mobile. Incomplete 3rd down.
Yeah, but that is as good as you can do there. You know, just buy yourself time in the pocket, and this is a developing offensive line for the Jayhawks. What do I mean by that? They're still trying to find their way. And as there's an injured player down on the field for West Virginia, yeah, and that's a big one. Kenny Bigelow Jr., man, the USC transfer, he's been a man in the middle playing that zero technique for the Mountaineers.
He went down last week momentarily as well. He's torn his right ACL 2 times.
ESPN College Football is presented by the unexpected energy of ExxonMobil. Energy lives here. And in part by USAA. Insurance, banking, and investments tailored for the military community.
Tonight on ABC, 6th-ranked Notre Dame looks to stay unbeaten on the road in Blacksburg to take on Virginia Tech. Hokies last beat a top 10 team at home almost a decade ago, 2009, against then number 9 Miami. 3rd and 10 for Kansas. Bender over the middle. He completes that pass to Steven Sims, who breaks the tackle and picks up a 1st down, a gain of a dozen. Sims 3rd all-time in receptions at Kansas, behind only Kerry Meyer and Desmond Briscoe.
Look, I think they've got a decision to make if you're David Beatty and Doug Meacham, because Bender has come in and the spark he's provided is he can throw the football. They rushed 3 there, West Virginia did, opted to drop 8. He found a tiny window to get it into their best wide receiver. Brilliant ball there from Bender.
Herbert up the middle, able to get to the 45 of West Virginia. Chris Cotter again in the studio with an update.
Got a really good game between Michigan State and Northwestern. Clayton Thorson has just been banged up really over the last couple of years. Might finally be healthy. Here it's Cameron Green, 22-19, Northwestern on top, start of the 4th quarter.
Wildcats looking for their 2nd win of the season. Bender to throw. Downfield. And poorly thrown, underthrown. Booker was the closest receiver. So now another 3rd down coming in. Let's see if Tony Gibson dials it up for West Virginia.
I think it's a great question, and it's the great debate. From what you just saw him do on the previous 3rd and long, and you drop back 8, I say you heat up the pocket. You know he's an immobile quarterback with a big arm. Force him to make a decision quickly and tell your DBs and in the secondary to come up and make a play. Zero coverage on the back end.
Here's the blitz. Bender running for his life, and they get him. Derek Pitts, the safety. And that aggressive blitzing West Virginia defense forces a 4th down.
Yeah, we asked Gibson yesterday as a crew. We said, when's the right time? You know, when do you know? After they get a big 3rd down conversion, after you sit back on your heels, the next play, the next big 3rd down is the time. Gibson calls the right call, but it was 3 yellow jerseys around to pick up a key sack from Derek Pitts, and now Kansas is forced to punt.
Low snap. Thompson just gets it off. Booming kick into the end zone. West Virginia will have it at the 20 after a 59-yard punt. Tony Gibson's West Virginia defense answers the call. Mountaineers still up 2 scores. Mountaineers defensive coordinator Tony Gibson in the hat told us yesterday he feels empowered to be aggressive on defense because he knows his fail-safe is this potent offense being able to score. And maybe the play calling was a little conservative early in this game. You wonder how much of that had to do with the offense not being as productive. They were driving the ball, but the turnovers were there.
Great point.
Kennedy McCoy around the edge for a gain of 4.
Guys, this feels like one of those gut check drives for West Virginia. You want to see your offense come out, be able to assert your will both on the run and then putting the ball in the end zone to really put this ball out of reach.
Yeah, I think you're right. You know, and what we saw last week when we had them at Texas Tech was that it was hard for this offense to close out the game. The defense had to come away with a takeaway and a score for them to come away with a victory there. Can the offense now make that right?
Plenty of time for Greer. And then finally sacked by Wise. And Greer should have thrown that ball away.
No pun intended, but that was not a wise decision.
Wise, the Energizer Bunny on that defensive line. 2-year captain. Dad played in the NFL. Brother Dietrich plays for the Patriots. 3rd and 13 now for West Virginia. Petaway in the game. Greer steps up. Taken down again. Kansas saying they have it, but Greer was down. Wise back-to-back sacks. And now some extracurriculars near midfield. Both teams getting into it. It'll be a 4th down for West Virginia. This Kansas team, give them credit. I don't think anybody gave them a chance today. Not showing any quit. And offensively, it's been a struggle. Defensively, they've made enough plays to keep this team in the ball game.
And they're still making them in the 4th. And if you are on this defense, and next week you tell yourself, we did everything we possibly could. Clint Bowen called a great game. Players made plays when they needed to.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
So Billy Kinney will back up even more, and now Kansas with a chance to work with a short field. And again, this is potentially one of those momentum changers. Kansas has had the play at a tilt momentum. They just have not been able to capitalize consistently off of those plays. Fair catch is made by Lassiter. He can't hold on to it. Who's got the football? West Virginia saying they've got it. And the Mountaineers do. So once again, instead of having a short
on the field, the kick returner bumped the ball, recovered by West Virginia, 1st down.
Yeah, and that unit has actually been very well. And they played very well for the Mountaineers. They're 12th in the country. But that turnover could be the difference. Last week, you saw the defense bail them out. This offense, I mean. Now you come back and you make a play on special teams. Yeah, if you're Dana, that's not the way you want it. You want your offense to score on every drive, every play. But sometimes you need a total team effort, and they're getting it.
They brought the nickel back. Tornado on the blitz. And Greer finds Sills outside the numbers for a gain of 5.
Yeah, now what do you do now? You know, they're trying to spread out that box, thin out those numbers, and that's why you see the quick screen to Sills, because Kansas has had some success against the run today. despite them rushing for 154 yards, when they've needed to make the stops, the Jayhawks have.
McCoy ahead for a short gain. Another Red River rivalry update from the studio.
Yeah, guys, Emmanuel Acho is already giving his game ball to Sam Ehlinger on this day because he is just torching Oklahoma. Another touchdown pass. He has 3 on the ground, 2 through the air. This one, a little Jordan Humphrey. It's all horns right now in the fourth quarter.
Lil Jordan Humphrey. That's one of the best names in college football. And here in Morgantown, a big cheer went up a few moments ago when they flashed the score of Texas-Oklahoma. Gary Jennings, who led the Big 12 in catches with a first down reception, 21 yards.
Wow. The patience there from Will Greer and the quick release. Such an efficient throwing motion. The way he gets the ball out of his hand so quickly. One of his best balls of the day, and Jennings, the sure-handed wide receiver, coming up with the catch.
Greer north of 300 yards for the 14th time in 16 games as a Mountaineer. On the delay, McCoy blasting up the middle for a first down, a gain of 13. And you get the sense Kansas fumbled away its last best chance on that muffed punt. Jeremiah McCullough down for Kansas, slow to get up. He was starting it today because Mike Lee was out. Kansas playing without both starting safeties, Lee and Ricky Thomas. Thomas has been out for a while.
You know, one thing that I've seen the last two weeks is McCoy finishing games.
Yeah.
Roddy, what have you seen from him in the closing moments of a ball game?
Well, because they rotate so much early in the game, you have fresh legs. And you mentioned the fact that he was getting into a rhythm earlier. You've got fresh legs and you're just starting to get into a rhythm in the second half. Those guys are tired and you're able to explode.
This is Petaway. Cuts it back close to the 20. Second down.
That's
Roddy,
a good rhythm.
if the Texas-Oklahoma score holds, how does that change the complexion of the Big 12?
I picked Texas to win the Big 12 from the very beginning. I think Texas becomes the all-out favorite because they've now beaten TCU and Oklahoma.
Greer to Sills. First and goal. I'm going to disagree with you, Roddy. I think West Virginia is the team to beat. And there's a flag down.
An eligible man downfield, number 55. Offense, 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Still second down.
Yeah, the penalties, yeah, for West Virginia, they just keep mounting up. And they're one of the most penalized teams in the country. This has to stop for them to really be in the mix. And you're talking about where they fit in the Big 12 equation. I don't think you win teams. I don't think you beat the elite teams, the TCUs, the Texas, the Oklahoma, with this type of sloppy football.
They've got to be better than they were in the second half last week and today against Kansas. But, Ahmad, we've seen them at their best as well.
Yeah.
And at their best, I'm not sure there's a better team in the Big 12.
I picked them to win the conference. That's how strongly I feel about the Mountaineers.
Last play under review. We'll step aside. 6:05 to go in regulation. (28-14). The last play was looked at by the booth for a potential targeting on Will Greer. After looking at it, no targeting penalty was called. Greer is a defenseless player in the act of throwing that football, and the hit came from Keyshawn Simmons, but they felt it was not forcible contact to the head and neck area. Greer trying to spin out of trouble, but he can't. And he's dropped back for a loss. 5th sack by this Kansas defense, which has also produced 4 turnovers.
Yeah, and I've said it before. I was fortunate enough my freshman year to watch Ricky Williams win the Heisman. And I'll never forget going on the road to Manhattan, Kansas. And they had 3 linebackers up for the Butkus. And Ricky Williams had 25 carries for 55 yards. and he averaged 1.7 with his long run being 7 yards. I don't think this disqualifies Will from the Heisman, but he's got to come back and be on fire down the stretch.
Broken up by Hempstead, intended for Sills. If West Virginia holds serve and if they can find a way to win on the road against Iowa State and beat Baylor, which I think most people expect them to do, they're going to have to play a little bit better on the road next week in Ames. But if they get to November undefeated, West Virginia in November will be playing for a spot in the college football playoff. And Will Greer, with a big November, he's got a chance to win the Heisman.
That's a great point.
As Evan Staley will attempt a 49-yard field goal. This would be the longest make of his career. And Staley sets a new career high with a 49-yarder. And it's now a 3-score game with 5:05 to go. Will Greer today, 27 out of 40, 315 yards, 3 TDs, but he did throw 3 picks in the first half.
And these were great plays by, of course, the Jayhawks, but this run here, I thought, separated him, and it allowed them to get going and score on this drive. That may be the play you look back on, and then the touchdown pass. Will Greer, like I said, he's still one of the best players in the country. I didn't think he played well after the first quarter of Texas Tech last week. He had a few plays, but he's got to find his rhythm again. And sometimes it's just between the ears. It's the confidence you carry. And we do know this. He's a kid that's very even keel. That's very good because he could go back, reevaluate himself, look on the inside, go home, get a hug from your baby girl and your wife, and come back at it next week and take on a very challenging opponent on the road in Ames in a night game, which is going to be a scary game for the Mountaineers.
Yeah, a young man who, as you said, is married, has a daughter who turns 2 next month. His dad, Chad, was his high school coach and a former East Carolina quarterback.
Yeah, so this week at one of my after-school programs, Jeff Blake, the former quarterback for the East Carolina, he said that Will's dad came in and expected to start and was just giving me, some funny commentary on how that competition went down and thought that Will Greer was a wonderful quarterback.
As Herbert takes it across the 25-yard line. NFL Countdown begins tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN. Odell Beckham Jr. sounds off on the Giants' 1-3 start and why their game plan isn't getting OBJ the ball enough. Plus, A-Rod and Patrick Mahomes discuss how A-Rod influenced a young Mahomes to reach the big leagues. Remember, Patrick Mahomes' father, Pat, was a longtime pitcher in Major League Baseball. And Monday Night Football has the Saints and Redskins. Drew Brees with a chance to make history. He can pass Peyton Manning for #1 on the career passing yards list.
Carter Stanley now in the game at quarterback for Jayhawks.
And he'll hand it off on first down to Puka Williams for a gain of 3. As we told you, Puka is one guy that Kansas just hasn't had since David Beatty has been here. He puts the fear of God into the other team's defense. And a story of perseverance. A young man who lost all the toes on his right foot in a lawnmower accident as a kid. Doctors told him, forget about sports, and he said, well, I'm going to go play sports, and turned out to be a pretty good track athlete and a very good football player. And when you watch his acceleration and his burst, that certainly has not impeded him from becoming a star, and he is going to be a star in this league.
He's shifty. He's like trying to catch a feather in the wind and in a tornado. I mean, it's just incredibly difficult. And because of that, if we're talking about it, and we're talking about it frankly, I believe David Beatty deserves an opportunity to continue to coach this young man, at least for one more year. I know he's got a great reputation in the state of Texas. And when I start to look at the things that this program needs to be successful, I think it's within their reach. I think for Kansas, the roadmap for me, for them to have success, the #1 thing is quarterback. That you've got to have a good quarterback to be good in this conference. The second part of that is recruit the state of Texas. You've seen them start to do more of that because you're going to find these skillful guys on the outside edges. And the last one is find a favorable scheme. Run something that works for your players.
Not a favorable play that time as Robinson is tackled. Now the problem is Beatty has one Big 12 win since he's been the head coach. You've got a new athletic director in Jeff Long, and even if you show progress, you know,
they've shown progress.
After the play
I don't
was
think
over,
it's an if now.
personal
It's
foul.
not hypothetical.
Unnecessary roughness. Number 77, offense. 15-yard penalty from the dead ball spot. The down counts. 4th down.
I mean, I saw Kansas at the end of the year last year. I can attest that they have improved. And this is where the business side of college football gets tricky because, you know, I'm sure, you know, Roddy goes to Georgia Tech and Paul Johnson has done some great things for that program. But then the minute you start to slip a little bit, people are on you and they want you to lose your job. I think the process here, you give a guy maybe 5 or 6 years just because Kansas was not a place where he inherited a lot of talent or guys that were coachable. And so, look, you have to continue to make sure that if this program is going to thrive, get the right guy in place. I love his energy. I love the way he approaches the players. And I personally believe he deserves another shot.
turnover on downs for Kansas. Roddy, if you're Kansas, I think whether it's David Beatty again next year and beyond, or if you make a change, I do think whoever that guy is going to be needs time. Turner Gill didn't get the time. Charlie Weiss didn't get the time. And it's very easy to say, well, you missed on those hires. And there's a lot of evidence to support that. But when you look at, programs that were down in the dumps like Duke and Rutgers and Temple, when they got it going, they gave their coaches time.
You're exactly right, Anish. And I think a big thing for Kansas is going to be getting Oklahoma State, where they roll out the helmet and the 5 stars come. You have to be great developers of talent, so you have to be able to bring guys in, redshirt them, and grow them up, grow them into players that can compete on a week-in, week-out basis against some of the top talent in the entire country. And Kansas just isn't there yet because of the scholarship, because of scholarship deficits that David Beatty had early in his tenure.
End zone for Sills, touchdown, West Virginia, and that puts the punctuation on this one.
And if you're Greer, you did not have a good game today by your standards. But sometimes just to get a good play at the end of the game, right? At the end of the game, builds confidence. And it's a lot easier to watch film, and Roddy can attest to this, right? When you've had a bad game, and I've had plenty of them in my career, when you make a play at the end of it, you walk out of there with the coach patting you on the back instead of pushing you out the door.
Man, the worst thing when you go to film on Sundays or Mondays is getting to a point where you know a bad play is coming. But that play for Will Greer, he'll know no matter what happens before, you end it on a touchdown. So he's going to absolutely look forward to the end of this game when he watches it.
Greer and Sills, that has been one of the best connections in college football since the start of last year. They have nonverbal cues. David Sills telling us when Will Greer raises an eyebrow, he knows what that means. These two are friends off the field. They visit the Children's Hospital sometimes 3 times a week. There is an ESP, if you will, between those two.
And that chemistry that they have is now, I believe, has gone spread throughout this entire team. The unique thing about West Virginia is they've got the talent now, I believe. Now, the depth will be a question mark, especially with that gauntlet that they have in November.
Yeah.
But the talent, they're as talented as any team in the Big 12. Now, I believe the best teams, and the one team that I was on a national title run with in 2001, we had great chemistry. We loved to play together. And because of that, we could go on the road like Tech and win a game because we'd come together rather than spreading apart like a bunch of BBs. It was an opportunity for us to bow our back and to show people how bad we were together.
Puka Williams fair catch by rule this year. That means you get it up to 25 if you make a fair catch inside the 25. Tonight, ABC has Notre Dame and Virginia Tech. Irish looking to stay unbeaten and looking to stay in that college football playoff conversation. Ryan Willis, the former Kansas QB, will get the start at quarterback again for the Hokies.
And Anish, I like the Hokies' chances in this one. Lane Stadium at night, I've played there a couple of times, and it is one of the most ruckus environments in all of college football. The fans are right there on you, and it's going to be tough for Notre Dame to hear anything if Virginia Tech start to make some plays.
Bender in at quarterback, and the shifty Puka Williams picks up a couple. You also have the unveiling of Frank Beamer's statue, so that crowd is going to be charged. Enter Sandman at night, and meanwhile here we're 2 minutes away from singing Country Roads in unison.
Great tradition.
Incomplete, third down. With Oklahoma on the verge of losing to Texas, West Virginia would become the only unbeaten team in the Big 12. What does that mean for the conference's college football playoff hopes?
Well, I think when you look at them, they've got a good defense. They've got an explosive offense. They fit in the equation for me, and I don't know where the ACC, the Pac-12.
Is there margin for error for West Virginia? Because you do have a league championship game this year between the top two teams. So if West Virginia slips up, but then let's say they come back and win the conference championship, will that be enough to get them into a college football playoff this year?
Here's the point I was trying to make is I don't know the gap between the ACC, the Pac-12, and the Big 12. And I think you've got to know that first, and you've got to play a little more football to determine how strong this conference is before you can really look at West Virginia and say they deserve to be in or they don't. But I think if you win the Big 12, you're going to have a shot. I still think the Big 12 is in third, fourth best conference, in my opinion. And, you had the canceled game against North Carolina State. That would have been a big test and a big check mark for them on their schedule. But look at that gauntlet of games in November, starting with at Texas, TCU, Oklahoma State, and then they finish off with the Sooners. That'll be where Will Grier and this team either wins a Big 12 title and a Heisman, or they either lose it.
Well, Anish, honestly, what I think you run into is if you have a one-loss Big 12 champion, then you're going to run into, okay, what if you have a one-loss non-conference champion out of the SEC or the Big 10 like we saw last year?
Or Notre Dame.
And you're exactly right. So then when you start to measure that, that's when you're going to get into trouble. The surest way to get in is obviously to win all your games.
Bender firing a strike downfield, another first down inside the 20. But yeah, if you're the Big 12 right now, with Oklahoma about to go down, you're riding West Virginia right now. West Virginia is the team you elevate. If you think Texas is the best team, Roddy, they still have that loss to Maryland, which doesn't help.
But that loss to Maryland came in the opening game. If they reel off 12 straight, I think people are really going to forget about that and put them in.
I don't know what Maryland's doing right now, but they're 3-1. And the Big Ten is open. I'm not saying that Maryland is great by any stretch of the imagination, but people that say that, I want you to hold on. They're 3-1, okay? They're 3-1.
Trailing Michigan right now, 17-7, the Terps. Get a timeout, 12 seconds to go. And you get the sense David Beatty is trying to do something with Kansas here to get them out of Morgantown, but maybe on a positive note and another score.
Yeah, and Gibson has not stopped coaching. Boy, he's in the middle of that huddle barking, and now Beatty, just trying to calm his troops down. If you're Kansas, look, there's no such thing as moral victories. I don't buy that. I don't believe in that. But I do. You can see improvement in losses, and I think that's where you start to really evaluate your talent, your team. They fought today, and this defense came out of here in a valiant effort against one of the best offenses in the country, and they made plays time and time and time and time again, and this offense just couldn't quite score points off of those turnovers.
Final 12 seconds. Bender, end zone, nearly intercepted. Six seconds left. Chris Cotter and the team in the studio will get you caught up on the day in college football, and then Iowa State, Oklahoma State is the next game on ESPN2, so West Virginia fans can get a sneak peek at their next opponent, the Cyclones. Bender throwing, end zone, And it's caught for a touchdown as time expires by Dalen Charlotte.
And David Beatty has a decision to make because Bender, he's been sharp, and that was a small window for him to get that ball in. Great concentration and catch on the back end of that play. The Jayhawks did not quit fighting today.
And I think they found a quarterback in Peyton Bender. I mean, he has been fantastic, especially throwing the ball in the small windows. We obviously don't see what goes on in practice, but based on game performance today, Peyton Bender's the guy.
16 out of 25, 191 yards, 2 TDs. Bender started the first 4 games, Carter Stanley this week and last week against Oklahoma State. Kansas will go for 2. Doesn't really mean much to the outcome. They get the 2-point conversion. It's Kwame Lassiter, and that is just bookkeeping. Final score here in Morgantown, West Virginia 38, Kansas 22. The Mountaineers survived 4 turnovers. Will Greer, this shows you what kind of talent we're talking about. It was not his best game. And he throws 332 yards through the air, 4 TDs, did have the 3 picks in the first half.
Sacked 5 times.
But the Mountaineers get the W, and it's off to Ames next weekend. To the studio now, and Chris.